Hey everybody, Tony D here with another hot take. Guess what? What's been happening in the news? Is it non-Trump news? No, it's impeachment again. Oy, will we not never be rid of impeachment? Impeachment is, well, part one is done. In case you have been living under a rock and never taken a civics class, the House of Representatives can impeach the president, but it's the Senate that actually conducts the trial and removes him from office. And, the thing about Nixon, who wasn't impeached, who resigned, but would have been impeached, is there was bipartisan agreement to impeach him, which is why he resigned. They told him that. This is the way these guys operate. If you are in that world, they give you every opportunity in the world to save your own butt because they are all just as vulnerable to be impeached, or, one day they may be sitting in the president's chair and they want that opportunity to walk away with all their money and, a little bit of dignity, whatever that's worth. Who the hell likes Nixon or remembers Nixon or wants to be like Nixon or wants to go to his library or thinks that he was a cool guy or wants to put him on money or stamps. But the thing is, the Democrats have boldly tried this partisan strategy and it's not working. It's just not working. The polls show people are against impeachment. As this drags on, they will be more against impeachment. It's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any more interesting. There's not going to be any more evidence, really. Nancy seems to be waiting for more evidence. Where is that going to come from? I mean, the evidence she has now is really not any evidence. It's a lot of interpretation, and it's a lot of let's impeach Trump because he says horrible things and he's a bastard. Which, there's some truth to that, but it's not illegal. It's not illegal to be a jerk. It's not illegal to get a position of power and push people out of your way and say, hey, a-hole. Hey, a-holes, listen up. I'm the president. Meh. It's not illegal. Okay? You may not like it, but the thing is, there's plenty of people in this country who don't mind it. They either don't mind it or they actually like it because it makes Trump more real. It makes him more off the cuff. They like that he's off the cuff. They like this idea that he's a threat to democracy. That would mean he would be changing the rules of, say, how votes are taken, or abolishing the vote to make himself king. He can't do that. Congress does that. He could say that. I mean, he could say, I would like to be king, please. No one, I don't think, would back him. Maybe a handful of guys in the GOP would go, But, to get all of Congress, no, that would require like some sort of constitutional amendment, and not even the Republicans, even after 2020, will have enough votes to do that in both houses. They might be close. They're definitely going to get up there, but at the end of the day, there will still be Democrats. They're just going to be out of power, much like Labour has lost power in England. Again, the UK election. Check it out. It's very fascinating. It mirrors a lot what's going on here. But instead of Trump, it's not so much about a person, Boris Johnson. It was more about Brexit. Brexit is their Trump. Boris Johnson is just the guy who happens to be there. Here it's Trump, because for better or for worse, in the United States, we're more personality driven, and people glom onto that personality. And I've said in plenty of videos, Trump has probably done some pretty mean stuff. I mean, people in South Jersey are very wary of him for his behavior during the casinos. But, it is true that people have different skills at different jobs. And being a casino owner is different than being a president. It just is. They have a lot of overlap, certainly, but it doesn't mean just because you were a jerk as a casino owner means that you're going to be the same kind of jerk as the president. Because, first off, the stakes are much higher. If Trump really tried to pull something where he became emperor for life and destroyed the Constitution, I mean, do you really think the army would support him? Do you really think the military would support him? I don't think so. You're talking about destroying democratic institutions. And understand that Trump is mostly alone in his fight. Yes, the Republicans are united against impeachment, and they're united under him for a lot of other things. But keep in mind, the Republicans hated Trump when he got elected. Absolutely loathed the man. The entire Republican Party, just about, was up in arms against him and very reluctantly went along with his candidacy. They tried everything to derail it. Everything. And, now they're in on it because, well, Trump's doing well. Trump's doing well, and he's doing well for us. So that should tell you something. The reason Trump's doing well and the reason he's a populist is because the voters like him. They do. Most voters like Trump, unless, you have Trump derangement syndrome. You can look at the economy and say, well, the economy's doing well. Listen, again, I'm a libertarian. I voted libertarian in the election. And the one thing I said about Trump is, I don't know how the economy's going to do underneath him. He's just going to spend a lot of money. Well, it turns out he's not so unskilled as an economics guy. Now, he's still spending too much money. That much is very true. But the economy is roaring along. It seems to be catching up, and maybe we're going to have a situation where the economy is so strong that we could somehow negate the debt or at least be in a stronger position for a situation in which the dollar collapses, let's say. Or maybe the dollar simply won't collapse because people are doing so well in this country and in America in general that we will have enough of a base to quickly recover, if that makes any sense. So we're kind of in uncharted territory economically. It's the economy is really strong, and people are behind Trump because they are working, because they got a tax break, because their wages are up, because they have a president who at least responds to them. Even if you hate Trump, Trump has responded to his haters. He responds on the internet. He responds to, he did bipartisan prison reform, something that people just put aside. Gotcha, Joan. They put aside, and then Trump finally just said, oh, yeah, sure. That's the advantage of having a guy like Trump who's not a politician. He doesn't really care. He doesn't care how the bipartisan legislation makes him look. And that's why I continue to say that Democrats really blew it with Trump. They had an opportunity, he's very much an 80s Democrat. They had an opportunity to at least get all the 80s Democrat stuff passed, which would have been, by today's comparisons, extremely moderate, bills and laws, but they would have gotten something and they would have had some sort of record to run on. Instead, what do we have? We have, again, I hate to use this phrase because everybody who makes a video is using it, but orange man bad. That's the only thing the Democrats continue to offer. Orange man bad. Orange man so bad. Orange man very, very bad. And there's more to him than that. Yes, some of his policies are bad. I've talked about those policies. I'm not totally on board on the Trump train, but I'm on board enough to say, well, we shouldn't impeach the guy. At the very least, I enjoy the fact that Congress has finally picked up on its duty to keep the president in check, but they're only doing it because it's a partisan thing. And if you're only going to do it for that reason, it's not really doing it. So this impeachment is going nowhere fast. There's nowhere to go but down. I mean, what's going to happen? Another witness is going to come forth? You're going to tell me the whistleblower is going to come forth? He's never coming forth, because if he comes forth, they're going to question him, and he's done. He's done. He probably can't back up his claims. Everybody knows who he is anyway. So he's not coming forth. He doesn't have any direct evidence. If they had direct evidence, we'd already see it. There's no direct evidence because Trump is too wily to do anything. It's not that he's so altruistic. He's immune to this stuff. But look, why is he going to take a bribe from the Ukrainians? What do they have to offer? We're talking about, at best, a second or third rate country that's falling to pieces. It's an economic basket case. It's only held together by the fact the United States is pumping money into it. It's insanely corrupt. And you're going to sit there and tell me, like, what do they have to offer? Okay, you might say, well, they could investigate Biden's son. Okay, so let them investigate Biden's son. Who cares? First off, if you believe Biden's son is completely innocent of corruption, that shouldn't be an issue. If the Ukrainians, who are insanely corrupt, investigate Biden's son and find something, it should be pretty easy to slap it down and go, well, that's nothing. But we all know why Joe Biden is getting so upset that they're investigating his son, because it's his son. And we all know VP Biden got him a gig. Come on. You'd have to be pretty naive to believe otherwise. I don't even think that's illegal, but the fact that he did it, the fact that Biden basically did the same exact thing Trump did, only more out in the open, more obvious, and way more blackmail-y than Trump ever did. What Trump did is, you can argue an interpretation that, yeah, it was blackmail, simply by the tone of his voice and the way he said it, but certainly not clear. With Biden, there's no ambiguity. He blackmailed the entire country of the Ukraine to fire a prosecutor who was investigating his son. That's wrong. It may not be illegal in the United States, but it's certainly unethical. And for them to impeach Trump over something that's not even close to that, it's the height of hypocrisy, and everybody can see it. So this is why Trump's going to be reelected. Hate to tell you, if you're not a Trump supporter, you're hoping he'll go away. Orange Man is not going away. Orange Man has another 4 years. Orange Man's probably going to have the House back, and he'll probably strengthen his hand in the Senate too. Now, I've heard from other Democrats who say, well, Orange Man wants to be a dictator. He ain't going away in 4 years. Yeah, he's going away in 4 years. He's going to go back to his businesses, and either his son or his daughter will run. If not in 2024, maybe after Pence is done. Maybe in 2020, let's say 2028, 2032, maybe. This is a very long-term thing. I mean, at the rate the Democrats going, they're going to be lucky to beat Pence. And do you really want Pence in the White House? And how are you going to get rid of Pence? They're already trying to make noise. Well, Pence knew. Really? You're going to be able to prove that? You're going to be able to prove that Mike Pence not only knew, but approved of the whole Trump thing, whatever you're charging him with. And that's an impeachable offense too? Yeah, good luck with that. You definitely have nothing on Pence. and either way, you're going to have to go through the process even more. If Nancy Pelosi had a brain in her head, she'd stop this whole train right now, or she'd hang the inquiry until doomsday, with no intention of ever exposing, no intention to ever sending it to the Senate and just let it die. But either way, the Democrats are in a lose-lose position. They're going to lose. And everybody's talking about Tulsi Gabbard voting present. Tulsi Gabbard's very smart. She's understands what's happening. She is perfectly willing to help President Trump do stuff. She helped him during the Syria crisis when no other Democrat would step up, and she didn't have a problem with that. And you shouldn't. You shouldn't have a problem with that, especially when you're pursuing peace. These are the same Democrats, keep in mind, many of them, that for 8 years didn't impeach Bush. 8 years. And you want to sit there and tell me that Bush didn't deserve to be impeached? That he didn't even deserve to at least be censured or at least have them attempt impeachment? With the war protest and all the people who died on his watch, who dragged us in the Iraq war, who had Cheney doing God knows what with the Office of Special Plans, probably lining his own pocket at the same time. You're telling me those guys, the guys who started the torture program down in Guantanamo, who started Guantanamo, those guys, they don't deserve impeachment. No. Nancy Pelosi was caught on tape talking about the Bush administration and why she didn't impeach him. And she said quite openly that she knew there was no weapons of mass destruction. So here's a woman who behind the scenes knew the country was being lied to. Not only did she not step up, which she should have, and warned us all, and kept us out of that war, because she doesn't care. She didn't care. Oh, we're going for war for that? Oh, okay. Is that the reason? Oh, you're lying. Oh. Thanks, Nancy. Thanks for allowing that war to happen. For that alone, you should be impeached. For admitting that on TV, you should be impeached immediately. If you live in her district, you should be ashamed of yourself if you ever voted for Nancy Pelosi. That woman allowed George W. Bush to start the Iraq War, which really messed up a whole lot of things in this country. That's not the first thing that got messed up in this country, but it's one of the more recent things. And for her to just casually admit that is, it's beyond. It's beyond. So for her to stand up and say, well, Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, Donald Trump doesn't even compare to what the Bush administration did to this country, what the Patriot Act did to this country. If you want to talk to you about the Obama administration, the guys who gave you assassination by flying robot and institutionalized that and killed an American citizen and his son with a flying robot. No impeachment there, no investigation. Well, they're in the same party, so So people see through this enchantment. Is that what they're calling it? Peach enchantment and Shampeachment, I think that's what they're calling it. It's a losing issue, and they deserve to lose. And quite frankly, the Democrats deserve to be punished in 2020, so they never, ever, ever think of doing this again.